What coaches, players, and spectators want from girls lacrosse umpires is consistency. This brief video is produced by Slider Lax. Why am I concerned about consistencies? Well, as a women's game state coordinator for officials development, U.S. Lacrosse, a part of my duties are to assist with the selection and facilitation of certified trainers and observers within the state, to provide expertise, advice, and direction to the local officiating organizations to assist with the overall development of officials in the state, and to identify up-and-coming officials and those experiencing difficulty in developing, to differentiate support as needed. Consistency has three facets: individual, crew, and association. The individual umpire needs to be consistent throughout the game in making calls. Umpires within a crew need to be consistent throughout the game. And then finally, the association, the group of umpires that serve an area, need to be consistent throughout a season. Consistency is influenced by experience, knowledge, and other personal considerations. Let's look at those three in detail. First, experience. Experience may be understood in length, depth, and breadth. Length is the time or the number of years that an umpire has worked and the number of games. The depth of experience has to do with the umpire's levels. How many different levels of games has an umpire worked? Youth, middle school, high school, club, college, and so on. And then the breadth of experience is the number of different umpiring partners that a particular official has worked with. Knowledge is shaped by training, rating, and teaching. Training needs to be clear, consistent, comprehensive, and continuing. The rating process should produce confidence in an umpire and should focus on improving the umpire's skills. An umpire should leave a rating session with 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 areas in which he or she needs to improve throughout the season. Teaching is an important continuing process. Each umpire should teach himself or herself throughout the season. Also, an umpire should seek input every game from his or her partner. And then finally, an umpire, as he or she develops in career, should teach others about the game of girls lacrosse, other umpires. It is important to know that you really don't learn something unless you teach it. Then there are personal considerations: demeanor, detachment, discipline, cooperation, and conditioning. All of these help shape consistency by the individual umpire, the crew, and the association. An individual umpire needs to have an appropriate demeanor and detachment during a game, not to make things personal, either to make calls personal or comments to him or her personal, but to remain objective. Discipline is important as well. Getting lazy throughout a game or when a game seems out of hand will contribute to an inconsistent calling of a game. Cooperation with one's partner in umpiring is important. Conversations during the game are important to ensure cooperation within the umpiring crew. And then finally, conditioning of each individual umpire is critical. As an umpire gets tired throughout a game or an assignment, sometimes calls are set aside or ignored just to get through the game. A well-conditioned umpire can be consistent throughout a game. I have produced a comprehensive training program through Slider Lax that begins with spectator orientation, then new umpire orientation, then a new umpire clinic, and then finally an intermediate umpire clinic for levels 1 and 2 umpires. These 4 components of this comprehensive training program have manuals, PowerPoints, and videos already prepared. You may go to Slider Lax to get resources to get these training manuals and components, but also other resources for umpiring. Have a great season.